Michael Jeffrey Jordan was born on February 17, 1963, in Brooklyn, New York, but grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina. His father, James, worked hard to provide for the family, and his mother, Dolores, was a source of discipline, encouragement, and wisdom. Michael grew up in a competitive household with 4 siblings, and competition quickly became part of his identity. Whether it was baseball, football, or simple games in the backyard, Michael hated losing. Even as a child, he had a fire inside him, but that fire had not yet met the challenge that would define his early years. In 1978, as a 15-year-old sophomore, Michael stood nervously outside his high school gym in Wilmington, waiting to see if his name had made the varsity basketball roster. He had worked hard, practiced, and dreamed of wearing that jersey. But when the list went up, his name wasn't there. He had been cut. Instead, a taller friend, 6 feet 7 inches sophomore Leroy Smith, made the team. For Michael, the humiliation was unbearable. He ran home, locked himself in his room, and cried for hours. He later said that moment became the spark that fueled everything that followed. Dolores Jordan, his mother, gave him no pity. Instead, she looked her son in the eyes and said words that became the foundation of his greatness. "Michael, if you want it badly enough, you'll work harder. Don't quit just because someone told you no." Those words lit a fire in him. From that day forward, Jordan transformed rejection into determination. He woke up early to train, ran sprints until his lungs burned, and shot thousands of baskets each day until his hands were blistered. While others slept, he practiced. While others gave up, he pushed further. By his junior year, Jordan had grown several inches taller, his body stronger, his skills sharper. He made varsity and didn't just play, he dominated. He became a local star, dunking, running, and flying across the court. Coaches, scouts, and fans noticed that this wasn't just another player. This was someone different, someone whose fire could not be extinguished. The boy who was once told he wasn't good enough was on the path to becoming a legend. By 1981, Michael Jordan's talent was undeniable. Colleges lined up with offers, but he chose the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. UNC was already a powerhouse, led by the legendary coach Dean Smith, who believed in discipline, teamwork, and patience. Jordan arrived as a freshman, a quiet kid with enormous potential, but few expected him to become a star so quickly. At first, Jordan blended in, working hard in practice and learning from older teammates. But his relentless drive and fearless play soon earned him attention. He didn't shy away from big moments, in fact, he thrived in them. By mid-season, fans and coaches saw something special. He was not just athletic, he was fearless. In March 1982, Jordan found himself on the biggest stage of college basketball, the NCAA championship game against Georgetown. The game was tight, the pressure overwhelming. With 17 seconds left, North Carolina trailed by 1. The ball swung around and landed in the hands of the 19-year-old freshman. Without hesitation, Michael rose and released a smooth jump shot. Swish. The ball dropped through the net, giving UNC the lead. Georgetown failed to score, and UNC won the national title. That single shot changed everything. Overnight, Jordan went from a promising freshman to a national hero. Reporters rushed to cover the young man with the confident smile and the clutch performance. Coach Dean Smith later said, "That shot gave him the confidence to become Michael Jordan." Over the next 2 years, Jordan developed into one of the best college players in the nation. He earned National Player of the Year, dazzled crowds with high-flying dunks, and gained respect for his tireless work ethic. But more importantly, he learned the value of discipline and teamwork, lessons that Dean Smith drilled into him daily. By the time he left UNC in 1984 to enter the NBA draft, Michael Jordan was no longer just a college player. He was a rising icon, and the world was about to see him take flight. The summer of 1984 was historic for basketball. The NBA draft that year was stacked with talent, including Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, and John Stockton. Michael Jordan entered with high expectations, but few believed he would become the greatest. The Houston Rockets selected Olajuwon first overall, the Portland Trail Blazers passed on Jordan for Sam Bowie, and at number 3, the struggling Chicago Bulls took a chance on him. Chicago wasn't a glamorous destination. The Bulls were a mediocre team with half-empty arenas and little fan support. Some saw Jordan as just another good player who might score points but couldn't change a franchise. But Michael had heard this kind of doubt before. It only fueled him. From his very first game, he electrified fans. His speed, his vertical leap, and his fearless drives made him impossible to ignore. He didn't just play basketball, he performed it. Crowds who had once ignored the Bulls now filled arenas just to see him play. By the end of his rookie season, he averaged an astonishing 28 points per game, earned Rookie of the Year, and instantly became the face of the franchise. But his impact went far beyond the court. That same year, Nike signed him to a shoe deal. They launched the Air Jordan sneakers, breaking records and creating a cultural phenomenon. Suddenly, every kid wanted to be like Mike. He wasn't just an athlete, he was becoming a brand, a symbol of style and success. Yet, despite his individual brilliance, the Bulls were far from champions. They made the playoffs but lost early. Critics claimed Jordan was just a flashy scorer who could never lead a team to a title. It was the same old story: doubt, rejection, underestimation. And once again, Jordan embraced the challenge. He vowed to prove them wrong. As Jordan entered his prime in the late 1980s, his scoring ability reached unbelievable levels. He won scoring titles, dazzled fans with dunks, and carried Chicago to new heights. But standing in his way were the Detroit Pistons, the bad boys of the NBA. Led by Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer, and Dennis Rodman, the Pistons were tough, physical, and merciless. They had one mission: stop Michael Jordan. They invented what became known as the Jordan Rules. The plan was simple but brutal: double-team him, foul him hard, and make him suffer every time he attacked the basket. For 3 straight years, the Pistons beat the Bulls in the playoffs. Each defeat left Jordan devastated. His dream of winning a championship seemed just out of reach. But unlike others who might have broken under the pressure, Jordan responded differently. Instead of complaining, he went back to work. He hit the gym, gaining muscle to absorb the punishment. He studied film, learning how to outsmart defenders. He developed his passing and defense, becoming more than just a scorer. He transformed himself into a complete player and a true leader. By 1990, the Bulls were no longer just Michael Jordan and role players, they were a team. And Jordan, hardened by years of failure, was ready to break through. The pain the Pistons inflicted became the foundation of his resilience. The 1990-91 NBA season was different. Michael Jordan entered with renewed determination, and the Bulls played with confidence and unity. When they met the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals, the world wondered, would Jordan finally overcome his tormentors? The answer came quickly. The Bulls didn't just beat the Pistons, they swept them. For Jordan, it wasn't just a victory, it was redemption. The years of pain, doubt, and heartbreak had prepared him for this moment. The finals brought an even bigger challenge: Magic Johnson and the Los Angeles Lakers. Magic was a legend, and the Lakers were an elite team. But Jordan rose to the occasion. In Game 2, he delivered one of the most iconic plays in NBA history. Driving to the basket, he leaped, switched the ball midair from his right hand to his left, and gently laid it in. The crowd gasped, commentators lost their words. It was a moment of pure artistry. The Bulls defeated the Lakers in 5 games. As the buzzer sounded, Jordan collapsed in tears, clutching the championship trophy in his arms. For years he had been told he wasn't good enough, that he couldn't win. And now, at last, he was a champion. But Michael Jordan was never satisfied with just one victory. To him, success wasn't a destination, it was a journey. The first championship was the beginning of a dynasty, and Jordan was determined to build a legacy that would never be forgotten. After tasting his first championship in 1991, Michael Jordan refused to slow down. The hunger in his eyes only grew stronger. He had learned through years of rejection that one victory wasn't enough, it was about proving consistency, proving dominance. The following season, 1991-92, Jordan and the Chicago Bulls stormed through the NBA with unmatched confidence. Jordan's scoring, leadership, and relentless drive carried them to another finals, this time against Clyde Drexler and the Portland Trail Blazers. Critics began comparing Drexler to Jordan, calling him an equal. For Michael, such talk was insulting. He walked into the series with a chip on his shoulder. In Game 1, he silenced every doubt. Jordan nailed 6 three-pointers in the first half alone, finishing with 39 points. After hitting his 6th shot, he famously shrugged toward the announcers as if to say, "Even I can't believe this." That moment became legendary. The Bulls went on to win the series in 6 games, and Jordan captured his second NBA title. But he wasn't finished. In 1992-93, Jordan led Chicago back to the finals again, this time against Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns. Barkley had just won the league's MVP award, but Jordan took it personally. He reminded the world that he, not Barkley, was the best player alive. In Game 4, Jordan scored a jaw-dropping 55 points, dominating every inch of the court. The Bulls eventually triumphed in 6 games, making them only the 3rd team in history to win 3 straight championships. With 3 consecutive titles, Jordan had built a dynasty. He was not just a star, he was a global phenomenon. His face was everywhere: posters, commercials, sneakers. Kids from Chicago to Tokyo wore Air Jordans and tried to fly like him on playgrounds. He was on top of the world. But success came with a heavy cost. Fame was suffocating, the pressure relentless, and the constant media spotlight began to wear on him. Even as he celebrated his 3rd title, Jordan's life was about to take a dramatic and heartbreaking turn. In the summer of 1993, Michael Jordan's life changed forever. His father, James Jordan, the man who had been his mentor, his role model, and his closest friend, was murdered during a roadside robbery in North Carolina. The news shattered Michael. His father had always dreamed of him playing professional baseball, and suddenly, basketball felt empty. Grieving and exhausted from years of competition, Jordan shocked the world. In October 1993, at the peak of his career, he announced his retirement from basketball. Fans were stunned. Reporters couldn't believe it. Why would the greatest player alive walk away in his prime? Jordan explained it simply: he had lost the desire to play. Without his father, the fire inside him dimmed. Instead of resting, Jordan pursued a different path: baseball. He signed with the Chicago White Sox organization and began playing in the minor leagues. Critics mocked him, saying he was embarrassing himself. But Jordan didn't care. He was honoring his father's dream. His work ethic remained the same: arriving early, practicing tirelessly, never quitting. While his baseball career wasn't remarkable, his teammates admired his determination. Meanwhile, the NBA changed without him. The Bulls struggled, and new stars began to rise. The league missed his presence, and fans everywhere longed for his return. Though he tried to move on, Jordan couldn't ignore the pull of the game. He would sit in the stands during NBA games and feel the itch to play again. Deep down, he knew his story wasn't finished. On March 18, 1995, two words shook the sports world: "I'm back." That was the entire press release. No speeches, no long statements. Michael Jordan was returning to the NBA. He rejoined the Chicago Bulls late in the season, wearing the number 45 jersey instead of his famous 23, as a tribute to his father. His return electrified the league. Ticket sales skyrocketed, TV ratings soared, and fans across the world celebrated. But Jordan wasn't yet the same player. He had been away for nearly 2 years, and his timing, conditioning, and rhythm were rusty. The Bulls made the playoffs, but they lost to the Orlando Magic, led by young stars Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway. Critics whispered again, maybe Jordan's dominance was over. But Michael Jordan never accepted defeat as final. That summer, he worked harder than ever. He trained relentlessly, pushing his body to peak condition. He studied the game, refined his skills, and recaptured his killer mentality. By the start of the 1995-96 season, Jordan was back, not just back, but better. The 1995-96 Chicago Bulls were unstoppable. With Michael Jordan leading the way, alongside Scottie Pippen and new addition Dennis Rodman, they became a force the NBA had never seen before. Every night, Jordan played with a vengeance, silencing every critic who doubted his comeback. His determination was unmatched, his leadership unquestioned. The Bulls finished the regular season with a historic 72-10 record, the best in NBA history at that time. Jordan won the MVP award, proving he was still the greatest. In the playoffs, they tore through opponents and reached the finals to face the Seattle Supersonics. The pressure was enormous. This was Jordan's chance to win his 4th championship, his first since his father's death. In the decisive Game 6, which happened on Father's Day, June 16, 1996, Jordan delivered. After the final buzzer, he collapsed in the locker room, clutching the basketball, tears streaming down his face. The image of him crying on the floor became iconic. It was more than just a championship, it was a tribute to his father, a moment of healing, and a reminder of his relentless spirit. Over the next 2 years, Jordan and the Bulls continued their dominance. In 1997, they defeated the Utah Jazz in the finals. One game stood out above all, the legendary flu game. Sick with fever and dehydration, Jordan still played 44 minutes, scoring 38 points and leading his team to victory. His sheer willpower inspired millions. In 1998, the Bulls reached the finals once again, facing the Jazz in a rematch. The series was tied, and Game 6 in Salt Lake City would decide everything. With seconds left, Jordan stole the ball from Karl Malone, dribbled up court, and faced Brian Russell. He crossed over, stepped back, and sank the shot that sealed his 6th championship. That final jumper became one of the most iconic plays in sports history. As Jordan walked off the court, holding 6 championships and 6 finals MVPs, the world knew they had witnessed greatness unlike anything before. Though he later returned briefly with the Washington Wizards, it was his time in Chicago that defined him forever. Michael Jordan's story is not just about basketball. It's about rejection, resilience, tragedy, and triumph. It's about a boy who was once cut from his high school team but went on to become the greatest player of all time.